Marlins Park in Miami, Florida. Cubs baseball set here on WGN Sports. Game 3 of an 11-day, 11-game trip. Cubs and the Fish have split the first 2 of this 4-game weekend series. Great to have you with us. Jim DeShays, Len Casper with you. The Cubs a winner last night, and Wilson Contreras, who's only been here about 15 minutes, has made quite an impression.
He was the man of the match last night. A home run into the Marlins bullpen, also the game-winning RBI. So he continues to swing a red-hot bat. He was hitting .350 down at AAA, was riding a 20-game hitting streak when he was called up, and he's picked right up here at the big league level. 7 out of 17, 3 long balls already for him. Very impressive numbers for the young catcher slash first baseman slash left fielder.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how about his versatility, and give a lot of credit to his manager for throwing him out there.
Madden has no fear. He'll take young guys and run them all over the field if they're willing, and Contreras is willing, and so far he has been able.
All right, the Cubs are off to their best start since 1918 through 72 games. Still 90 to go, but they've got a 10-game lead in the division, and the kids have been terrific. Baez, Contreras, Almora, we just keep going down the list. Russell, Bryant. It's been fun. We'll hear from Joe Madden when we come back. 1876, this Bud's for you. Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda, now at your Honda dealer. State Farm, there for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Welcome back to Marlins Park, just moments away from the Cubs and the Marlins game 3. Cubs with a couple of big pieces returning to the lineup. Anthony Rizzo with the back issue. Miguel Montero with the right knee injury the other day, so they missed the first 2 games. They're in there today. Let's hear from the manager, Joe Madden.
Getting Miggy back was good. I mean, again, never underestimate how well he receives the baseball. And with Johnny there today, they'll work well together. Riz is the big thing. I mean, by putting him in a 3-hole there and then having Elmore hitting 9th, it gives it a little bit, better feel to it coming around the next time. Just looking forward to getting everybody back. In the meantime, we just got to hold serve. And last night's game, could not be proud of our group, man. To have a 4-run lead and give it right back, and then hold on as long as we did and play as well as we did. That says a lot about our group.
Rondon is available today?
I'm pretty sure he went out to play catch. I'll know more soon. Yeah, I think he should be fine. I think Travis would be the guy that I'd be more concerned about.
That's Joe Madden, and we are set for the Cubs and the Marlins. First pitch, and all the action is next. Brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And Cub fans, if you want to manage this game along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while watching at home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer. Cubs lineup brought to you by Southwest. Hayward in the leadoff spot for the second consecutive game. Bryant now leading the team with his 18 home runs, one ahead of Anthony Rizzo, who's back in the lineup. Contreras in the cleanup spot playing left. Baez in for Zobrist at second. Russell at short. Montero returns. He catches for John Lackey, who will bat 8th ahead of Albert Almora Jr. in the 9th spot.
Here are the Marlins defensively. Yelich, Ichiro, and Stanton left center. Right, Prado, Echeverria, Dietrich, and Bohr. Third to first. JT Real Muto will do the catching. It's a good group defensively. Third fewest errors in the National League. They've only made 3 errors in their last 24 ball games. And out there on the mound is Paul Clemens, 28-year-old right-hander. Made his first start, big league start of the season on Monday. He gave up 3 solo home runs to the Rockies. 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, walked 3, struck out 2, 6-4 with a .430 earned run average with their AAA club prior to being called up. The fastball, curveball, changeup, 3-pitch pitcher. More of a fly ball type pitcher in his career. 103 major league innings under his belt. He has allowed 24 home runs.
Milwaukee back at the plate. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, is at first. Vic Carapazza at second, and DJ Rayburn at third. Roof closed once again here today. Late afternoon start. Early afternoon first pitch tomorrow, and then we'll fly to Cincinnati for 3 starting Monday right here on WGN. And a ton of Cub fans here this weekend. They were a lot happier last night than they were on Thursday. Here's Hayward to start it. Had a good night last night. Even though he went 0 for 3, walked, he was hit by a pitch, and he lined out twice, robbed of hits. Fortunately, he was all right. He got a hit on the foot.
Yeah, a little sore today, but good enough to go.
And the right-hander Clemens to Hayward to get us started. Ball 1 inside. Two and 0.
Clemens originally signed with the Atlanta Braves, drafted in 2008, 7th round.
Out of Lewisburg College in South Carolina. He was born in South Carolina, moved around a lot as a kid. His father was an FBI special agent, went to high school in Fairfax, Virginia.
From Atlanta, traded to the Astros, the Michael Bourne deal. That's where he made his major league debut in 2013. Made 5 starts, 30 relief appearances, and then got more big league time the next year. 13 appearances in 2014. Did not pitch in the big leagues last year.
Pitcher's strike, and it's 3-2 with Chris Bryant waiting on deck. Clemens working quickly, called strike 3, and no argument from Hayward.
Jason saw some pitches, but ultimately didn't pull the trigger on that fastball. Must have been thinking changeup or breaking pitch there, and Clemens locked him up with a heater.
Marlins started the season with a rotation of Chen, Fernandez, Conley, Kohler, and Jared Cozart. Cozart went to the minors after a trio of bad starts in April. He's now on the minor league disabled list with an oblique injury. He was replaced by left-hander Justin Nicolino. He made 10 starts before being demoted recently, and he was replaced by Clemens. It's probably safe to say that this spot in the rotation is still fluid, so a bit of an audition for him.
Yeah, it's kind of where Clemens finds himself now, just trying to establish some value as a major league pitcher, whether it's stay in the rotation or move to the bullpen. He's kind of been the floater here the last couple of days. When Kohler was getting knocked around in the first inning last night, Don Mattingly sent Clemens out to the bullpen, thought maybe he'd have to use him in long relief. Kohler was able to right the ship, and some concerned eyes on Clemens now. Something's bugging him a little bit. I don't know if it's a wardrobe malfunction or if he's got a little bit of a muscle issue, or just doesn't look comfortable out there.
Here's the 0-2 to Bryant, and it missed. He had a bloody right thumb the other night. I guess that happens because of the friction of his curveball. So we'll keep an eye on that. Bounced foul.
I've heard of guys getting blisters on their fingers from throwing the curveball. I don't know that I've heard of the bloody thumb. But if he's hooking that seam with the thumb, and I guess there's a chance. Well, obviously there is. I mean, it happened.
2-2 on Bryant. Rizzo in the 3 spot will bat next. Right center, Ichiro tracking, and he won't get it. It'll one-hop the barrier. It's a double for Bryant.
Well, that's exactly what Chris Bryant has been talking about. He wants to get back to driving the ball to that part of the ballpark, staying through the ball. It feels like he's gotten a little too pull happy of late. Feels like he's at his best when he's thinking about the middle of the diamond. And boy, he stayed through that one nicely. Beautiful swing and a powerful swing, and Bryant in scoring position with 1 out. For the guy who has the best batting average and the best OPS in Major League Baseball in the month of June.
From nearby Parkland, Florida, so able to sleep in his own bed this weekend. Back tightness cost him the first 2 games of the series. And he was hot before he got hurt. 8 for 14 during a 5-game hitting streak. Bounced foul.
Batting .391 this month, .474 on base, .750 slugging.
One. It's a strike. Paul, no relation to Roger. Working him in, and they're going to go there again. Quite where Real Muto wanted it, but they got away with it.
Clemens signed as a minor league free agent in November. Spent time with the Phillies and Royals organization last year. Pretty heavy fastball here in the early going.
This would be a good one to get because the Cubs have to face Jose Fernandez tomorrow. 2-2.
So you're saying he's pretty good?
He's pretty good, and he's really good in this ballpark. In the air to center. Ichiro drifts back. Plenty of room. He's got it. Bryant tagging.
Hang on.
Yeah, he just was able to hang on. Ichiro, 42 years old, but that arm looks young. That was a one-hop strike to third base.
And he's always had one of the stronger throwing arms in the game. Still go get it out there. Won 10 Gold Gloves.
Fast dirt. That was a little bit of a late slide. Well, he did come off the bag, but
Yeah, he retouched and then yeah.
So they are going to call for a review. This is weird.
I think it's that last little movement there.
The base actually moved as Chris put his hand on the bag, and it almost looked like Prado pushed his hand off the base. This is an interesting one. Now watch when he gets back to the bag, the base actually moves. Right there.
And then he goes to reset, and there's a brief moment there where his hand is off the base.
Yeah, so actually Prado did not push him off the bag. This is going to be close.
Yeah, you can see he's talking about it right now. His hand came off.
Yeah, so I think they're discussing whether or not he was pushed off. It looked like that's what DJ Rayburn was saying about being, quote, pushed off. I can read his lips correctly. So before they go to New York, they're chatting about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they just don't go to New York if Don Mattingly has requested a review. Why not just put the headset on and ask the guys in New York to take a look at it for him?
Well, right there, you can't tell definitively, can you? When his finger is off.
I mean, this is, yeah, I don't know. It's.
If the base doesn't move there, I think the point is moot. You got a moving target.
Yeah, but I don't know that the rule allows for that. I don't know if you can argue, well, the base moved on me. I don't think there's anything in the rules that stipulates that affects the decision.
Yeah, you can see Rayburn saying if his finger came off the base without being pushed.
Why are they not putting? I don't understand why they're just not.
Would you agree, based on the slow-mo, that Prado did not push him off the bag? See,
I agree with that. Yeah.
As I looked at the play in real time, I thought he did, but I don't think he did.
I think there may be two pieces of it, and let's take a look at it again. I think there was a piece where his hand was off the bag without Prado pushing him off, and then ultimately Prado applies the tag again. See, tried to go through it. And if we were on the playground, I think what would happen is, hey Chris, let's just go back to second and we'll play on from there. So, no, I don't see Prado pushing him off the base with that look.
So now they have the headsets on.
And it may be based on what Don Mattingly decided to challenge, that they wanted to have this conversation before they talked to New York and said what they wanted to look at. I don't know. If you're Don Mattingly, don't you just challenge, say, for out at third base? You're not going to make any specific requests that,
right,
other than that.
Bryant is watching the replay we've been showing you on the big board in center. And I'm not sure if he really knows. He's hopeful that the call will stand.
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be significant. Now here comes Don Mattingly for some sort of explanation. He loses his challenge. So if we have another close play or an egregious mistake before we get to the seventh, he will not be able to challenge it. So that's a bit of a risk to challenge this early in a game, but he thought obviously he was correct.
Yeah, in the meantime, with the length of this delay, his pitcher's out there standing around, getting out of the flow of the game.
I feel like part of the debate is whether Bryant was pushed off, maybe even after that initial touch of third. When he came back to the bag. because this conversation is going on for a long time. You can't just be out or safe. It feels like there's another component.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's something else in play here.
Well, the delay from when that play happened until right now has been about 6 minutes. Wilson Contreras takes ball one. Particular play, by the way, may affect how Joe Madden and Gary Jones manage the running game here when balls hit out to center field, because Ichiro almost threw him out. Take
well, that's I'm sure that's something they've talked about too. The base runners should all be aware of the outfield arms.
Was an impressive throw. 3-0 on the pitch. 3-1. Ball 4. What sort of play is Baez going to make on defense today?
Might stand on his head and catch one.
Ball strike.
Good action on that breaking pitch from Clemens, but he hasn't really shown the ability to throw it in the strike zone. He topped out at 94 miles per hour in his last start. Sits comfortably 91, 92.
Like a good pitch on Xfinity pitch tracks, but Clemens didn't get it. By the way, I'm not blaming Don Mattingly. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, but now that we've instituted replay, probably shouldn't have an extra 2 minutes of a manager talking to an umpire, right? We're supposed
After the fact.
Yeah, we're supposed to avoid that.
Yeah,
That's
but again, I think the long conversation prior to the review, and as you mentioned, there was another element to it, so he probably wanted the explanation. Okay, New York said safe. Can you tell me why? I mean, the fact that the umpires had that long conversation before they even threw the headset on, and kind of it indicates that there is, another level to that call.
We hope to get to the bottom of it at some point. Making Clemens work. This is his 29th pitch. Contreras runs. There's a little pop up to first, and it's Bohr to end the inning. Double walk and a long review, no runs. John Lackey when we come back. Starting lineup written out by Don Mattingly. Ichiro in the leadoff spot. Prado, Yelich, Stanton, and Bohr. With his second grand slam in just over 2 weeks last night. Dietrich moves down to the 6th spot. Real Muto, very impressive catcher, hitting .303 on the year. The shortstop is Echeverria, and the pitcher Clemens batting 9th.
Let's see who's where for the Cubs this afternoon. Wilson Contreras, we're going to slide out and play a little left field. Albert Moore Jr. in center, Jason Hayward right, Bryant Russell, Baez, Rizzo. So everybody, aside from the battery, 26 years of age or younger. Montero's 32, Lackey's 37. He's our Blue Cross Blue Shield starting pitcher of the game. The card to carry through it all, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Start number 15 for Big John, 7-3, 278 the ERA. He's been awfully good. And this is the the guy that Lackey has seen more than any other major league player, Ichiro Suzuki. And likewise for Suzuki, he's had more at bats against John Lackey than any other pitcher he has faced.
2 strikes on him. Fastball up and away.
Yeah, the other guy that's impacted or could be impacted by that long delay is John Lackey, sitting there in the dugout while a review went down. He will change the feel of the tempo of the game because he is get it and go. Ichiro batting .388 here in his home ballpark.
To 4-2. That'll bring up Martin Prado. He's had a quiet series, 0 for 7 with a walk, and he has struck out 4 times.
Ichiro, over the course of his career, has not been a guy that walks a whole lot. He's had a high on-base percentage because he hits for such a high average. But normally doesn't draw a lot of walks. Still steal a bag for you. He's 6 out of 8 in that department.
There he goes. He wasted no time, and he is safe. Career stolen base number 505. Is the active leader. Two 2-0 now to Prado. So that is 6 straight misses. Yep, since he went 0-2 on Suzuki. Two and one. Lots of good stuff on John Lackey. He's got a 197. Last 10 starts since the beginning of May. Ranks 7th in the majors in ERA since the start of 2015 at 277. Rarely talk about day-night splits, but if you're curious, in the daytime he's got a 126 this year, which leads all major league pitchers in at least 30 innings. Pop foul and no play for Anthony Rizzo. The Cubs starters now at 236. The Mets are second at 332. The Cubs are this close to being a run better in terms of their starters ERA than the rest of the major leagues.
It's remarkable this late in the season.
Ground ball, base hit. Ichiro had to hold up to make sure it got through, so he'll advance only to third. And they've got him at the corners now with nobody out.
A little early pressure here for the Marlins. First time through the batting order, John Lackey yields a 159 batting average. A bit of a bind here, first and third, and a very talented hitter in Yelich in the batter's box. See to run, play for two.
Yelich 11th in the majors with his .397 on base percentage. 0-2. Line shot center field. Almora has to leap to make the catch. And he gets it back in quickly to make sure Prado stays at first. Ichiro scores. Sac fly Yelich. 1-0 Miami.
Hey, Yelich got a very nice swing. He covers all kinds of pitches, up, down, in and out, handles breaking balls. I thought they might take a shot way upstairs with an 0-2 fastball. Instead, they tried the slider, and it just backed up on him. Let's put a good swing on it.
Runner at first, now one out, a run in. And a strike on Stanton.
That pitch right there defines John Lackey. The first pitch to Stanton. He's given up a couple base runners, has already run across, got one of the more dangerous hitters in the game, and John's like, here we go, big fella. It pumps that fastball right through there.
Another one. Similar spot. 1-2. Popped up. Not a ton of room back there behind the plate.
That aggressive approach of John Lackey's that has allowed him to pitch deep into so many of his starts. Last time out, he only went 6 innings. Had some early struggles. Allowed 7 hits, 3 runs, walked 3, struck out 6 through 109 pitches.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Good heater up and in to tie up Stanton.
Bring up Justin Bour. He had a game-tying grand slam in the first inning last night. Second grand slam in 15 days. Hit one in Arizona on the 10th of June. Some large humans in this game here today. Lackey 6'6", 235. We just saw Stanton 6'6", 246. Bour 6'3", 268. Rizzo 6'3", 240. Jason Hayward 6'5", 240. Two and two.
Well, like all the other sports, the modern player bigger and stronger than ever before.
Marlins have 7 pitchers on their active roster who are 6'3".
Bigger, stronger, faster. They saw that kid Ellington in the game last night throwing 100 miles per hour. Bear Claw, who worked the night before, was 97.
Cubs have 9 pitchers at least 6'3". Lackey and Hamill are 6'6". Swing and a miss. Strike 3 to end the inning. Marlins strike first against Big John.
Every morning at the mine,
1-0.
see him arrive. He stood 6'6" and weighed 245, kind of broad at the shoulder and narrow at the hip.
Paul Clemens to Addison Russell. 1-0 Miami, second inning.
Addison had 2 hits in the ball game last night, almost a third.
Swings over the top of fastball off the inside corner. Kick, the pitch, ground ball right to the shortstop Echeverria. For a Mazda replay cam. Jose Fernandez, for some strange reason, I guess human nature, actually put up his pitching hand to avoid a foul ball off the bat of Chris Bryant. And he was looking at that hand and ended up walking into the tunnel. I'm sure he's okay, but that is a little scary if you're the Marlins.
Yeah, give up the face, never mind the hand.
So back in his usual spot in the dugout. Yeah, he might want to lift the left hand next time. Montero heard a pop in his right knee the other day. He's got a brace on the knee. It was on a slide into the plate. It looked like a pretty innocent play at the time, but he did not want to take any chances. Missed the first 2 games of this series, and he's back in there today, and he drives one to right, and it will go to tie the ball game at 1-1.
Welcome back, Miggy. And most years you can pencil him in for double digits in home runs. Hit 15 last year. That's number 4 this season. Of course, he spent some time on the DL. Had a hard time getting into the rhythm of the season offensively. That's a good start.
So 1-1 tie. Montero with his 4th.
Good to see him lift that ball too. He's been hitting the ball on the ground a lot this year. Rolling over on a lot of balls.
The 2-1 now to Lackey. And it's 3-1. Full count, 3-2. He walked him. Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 357 feet off the bat at 100 miles an hour. Go to WGNTV.com/contest for a shot at round trip travel for 2 on Southwest Airlines.
It's one way to treat a sore knee. Just hit it where you only have to jog.
Strike 1 on Albert Almora Jr. batting 9th. Good curve. It's 0-2. Called strike 3. That was a knee buckler.
Second strikeout for Clemens. He got Jason Hayward on a 3-2 fastball to start the ball game. Roof closed, air conditioning on, but it's still very muggy here. Clemens working up a pretty good lather. He's worked awfully hard. 44 pitches already.
Ball 1 to Hayward. Early game today. Blue Jays lead at the White Sox 8-6 late. They're in the 8th inning there. Line right to Dietrich. Hayward can't buy a hit.
He's into some tough luck here lately. Wow.
Montero with a home run. And we're tied after an inning and a half. 1-1.
Check out Len and JD's baseball blog at WGNTV.com. The blog is sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com nationwide. He's on your side.
All
a happy
smiles.
man.
Yeah. After Montero just tied the game with a home run. Derek Dietrich leads off for the Fish. Left-handed batter takes a breaking ball low and inside. Cleveland with another early lead at Detroit, 3-0 in the second. Indians unbeaten against the Tigers this year, 7-0. Two-one on the ground to first. That'll take Rizzo to the bag for the out.
Folks, the Cubs are the hottest ticket this summer, so let's go. Your best option for future games would be Monday through Thursdays. Very limited availability on weekends throughout the summer. Don't wait. Plan now. Visit Cubs.com.
A little early trivia. American League leader in ERA.
The knuckleballer for Boston.
Good call.
Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright. He's got a 2.01. He'll pitch for the Red Sox tonight in Texas. You're good. Thought I could sneak that one past you.
Well, yeah, because he's sneaking up on a lot of people. I mean, it wasn't guaranteed to make the club, was he? Or at least not guaranteed to be in the rotation when they went to spring training.
2 strikes on Real Muto, the catcher. Brewers have an early lead over the Nationals, 4-1. Washington has lost 6 in a row.
Yeah, they won that 13-inning game. It's 13 innings, right, against the Cubs. And, all the talk, well, it's going to be a springboard game for them. They went out to San Diego and they won their first 2, and they haven't won since.
Gio Gonzalez struggling today. Matt Garza making his 3rd start since coming back from the disabled list, and he's been very good for the Brewers here early on.
He might look good in a Marlin uniform.
Sounds like they're looking. In the air to center. Almora. They're out number 2.
I saw one report where the Marlins kicked the tires on Bud Norris. We saw him pitch a real good game against the Cubs for Atlanta. He might be available. Might be a good fit.
Echeverria, the shortstop, batting 8th. Curve strike. He went. John with an 0-2, swing and a miss. Got him on the high fastball. Inning over. Marlins go 1-2-3. 1-1 after 2. coming up a little later, so tweet us your Cubs selfies. The hashtag is Bud Fridays, and we may use it in our fan cam segment a little later. One tie, third inning. Pitcher and catcher talk it over. John Lackey worked with Wilson Contreras his last time out, with the veteran Montero today. Bryant with a double in the first. He was stranded at third. At the end of the bat, barehanded pick, nicely done by Prado. That ball had to have a ton of English on it. Thought it might kick away from him, but he made the play flawlessly.
Yeah, in rhythm. Good barehanded catch and throw by Prado. So quick out here for Clemens, who needs a quick inning.
Rizzo not real happy. 2 pitches, 2 outs. Do you believe in the automatic take after 2 pitches, 2 outs?
I don't, because if you take one, you're down 0-1, then you may be in a position where you have to swing. So, what's that one pitch going to buy the pitcher in terms of rest?
So if you're Contreras, just do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably take, but I know a lot of times a pitcher would tell a guy, go ahead, you're good, I'm good. So you take it for 2 reasons. One, you're trying to buy your guy a little time to rest, and 2, you're trying to force the other guy to throw a little more pitches. But what you don't want to do is just take a cookie right down the middle. A lot just depends on where you are in the game, how much work your guy's been doing. If you're outdoors and it's smoking hot, you buy a little more time just taking your time getting up to the plate.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Count holding. Jose Reyes has signed a minor league deal with the Mets, his original team.
Yeah, that had been rumored for a while that might happen. The Mets also sent Michael Conforto down to AAA.
Yes, Reyes is going to play a little third base in the minors before joining the big league club. 52-game suspension while with the Rockies, and then released. He has worked a deep count here, and he draws the walk.
Second time he's walked this afternoon. When you look at Contreras' minor league career, that's what you notice. With each year, he got better and better in terms of cutting down the strikeouts and walking more frequently. The evolution of Contreras, interesting. For the first 3 or 4 years of his minor league career, you look at the numbers, you go, not a whole lot there. Last couple seasons, he's just exploded.
Came in with a 6-game hitting streak to start his major league career. Ended his last stint at AAA with a 20-gamer. His goal is to not go back. Baez looks at a strike. He's playing second today with no Ben Zobrist. I'm not sure of Ben's availability to pinch hit. A little sore near the left ankle. He got hit by a pitch last night. Ouch. And Baez just got plunked and he didn't like it. And I was just going to say the Cubs have been hit a fair amount in this series. Let's see, 3 last night, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Hayward and Zobrist got hit on the feet. Clemens isn't throwing at Baez here. Man on first base already, trying to throw an inside fastball.
So 2 on, 2 down.
If you're going to get hit, that's the spot. He's like, I know what's happening, but no, Javi, I don't think there was any intent there.
Curveball misses on Russell.
That's just lack of command.
Here comes Juan Nieves.
And maybe just trying to settle down his young right-hander. Whenever there's that little dust up, there's a surge of adrenaline, and Nieves sits out there to, all right, let's just calm down, do our thing. Bourne and Baez are over there negotiating at first base. Good work by John Hirschbeck, too, having a chat with Javi.
Elevated pitch count. Remember how the inning started? 2 pitches, 2 outs. Contreras, Baez, and Russell are going to tell Bryant Rizzo that's how you do it. You guys are way too aggressive.
Got to learn how to work some counts.
Hitters count the 2-0. Driven out into deep left. Yelich going after it. It's gone. That's a 3-run homer for Russell. 4-1 Cubs here in the 3rd.
Boy, you talk about an uprising. 2 pitches, 2 outs. And a walk hit batsman, and Russell continues his outstanding work against right-handed pitching. A bit of a mystery to me. He really struggles against lefties, but a lot of good swings against right-handed pitching, and that was pretty. Number 7 for Russell. Now has 40 driven in. Clemens got hurt on the long ball in his previous start, his only other start this year at the big league level. He allowed 3 solo home runs to the Rockies in 5 innings.
Let's check out our Southwest Airlines. How far did it fly? 395 feet. Go to WGNTV.com/contest for a chance to win round trip travel for 2 on Southwest Airlines. Crazy inning. 2-2.
Contrast his approach with Contreras there after the 2 quick outs to what you might see from John Lackey in that situation. Lackey would have just started pumping fastballs right over the heart of the plate, looking for that real quick inning. And a lot of times it's not necessarily intent, it's just ability. The ability to throw the baseball where you want to is a skill. It's not always about being defensive or pitching around people.
Ball 4. So this inning is completely blown up on Clemens. And here is Lackey, who walked in the second. Chop to Prado. And the inning is over. Cubs have hit a couple of long balls today. Montero to tie it in the second. Russell to give the Cubs the lead. They scored 3, and it's 4-1.
Support your favorite team July 8th through the 10th with Cubs destinations. Packages include game tickets, hotel accommodations, a tour of PNC Park, Cubs swag, and a private meet and greet with a current Cub player. For more information, visit Cubs.com/travel. Don't forget to get some pierogies while you're there.
Addison Russell with a booming 3-run homer, the 7th of the year. Now knocked in 40. The Cubs have a 3-run lead. Clemens 0 for 1. He's a major leaguer and he fouls it off. Hey, our friend Carrie Muscat asked us to send out some congrats. Pretty cool story. Her brother-in-law, Carrie covers the Cubs for MLB.com. Mike Bishop and his brother Aaron, along with 2 other riders in Team 408 today, finished the Ram, the race across America. They get on their bicycles in Oceanside, California last Saturday, and they finished today in Annapolis, Maryland. 3,000 miles.
Wow.
And as Clemens strikes out. 4 for Lackey. Hey, Chicagoland viewers, time now for the Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999. Right now, the 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do.
I bet you they have sore buttocks from all that bike riding.
I would think so. Gary's sister Jean, Mike's wife, was in the support van, and Mike and Jean, big Cub fans, congratulations. Quite a journey.
Ichiro can do, or certainly could do in his prime, everything well. Defense, speed, high average hitter. Actually more power in there than really plays in the game. You watch him take BP and he hits some massive home runs, but never really hit for a lot of power during the games. Kind of like Tony Gwynn in that regard.
Gets out of the box so fast. He's almost running toward first when he makes contact. So you don't have a lot of time over there on the left side. Bryant makes the play.
That's that fast pitch softball approach. Swing and run all at the same time. Big John has retired 8 consecutive batters now.
Prado's singled in the first inning. It's the only hit the Marlins have. I hate to even mention this because you'll be distracted by it for the rest of Martin Prado's career. But he's got the pine tar on the bat, and when the bat hits his jersey, pulls it up on the right shoulder.
When he does that little tapping thing.
Yes. And when he gets ready to hit, I see the jersey move as a result.
Cheating. He was looking in there. Prado doesn't hit for much power, more of a contact guy. Looked to me like he was trying to cheat on one there. When D. Gordon comes back, he may lose some playing time. Dietrich has proven to be a pretty solid player, so he may steal some at bats from Prado.
Rizzo over and no play. Except for that guy, he made a play. Joe Madden's Respect 90 t-shirts on. That's the embrace the target.
Joe could have his own fan club. Madden's Minions. See ya.
Called strike 3, inning over. He shuts him down after the Cubs grab the lead.
Cubs offer special programs designed for your future Cub, from Kids Sundays at Wrigley Field to Clarkscrew and baseball summer camps throughout the Chicago area. There are many ways to build lifelong Cub memories with your kids. Visit Cubs.com/kids to learn all about our Cub Kid offering. Now we got a squirmer. We'll take her for a walk. We'll look at the bobbleheads.
Yeah, it is Moises Alou bobblehead day. Bunted by Almora, and he is out. I hope he's all right. Was that intentional?
I don't know, but it was scary, but good to see him bounce up. And that was another great play by Prado. And then navigate first Clemens and then make a play on the ball. I think it was more of a lunge fall.
Right.
And boy, that's very fortunate that he came out of that blowing out his ankle.
It was a very graceful landing, considering how bad that could have been. Well, they have tested Martin Prado a couple of times, and he has come through. Bryant on the swinging dribbler, and then Almora with the bunt attempt. Changeup misses outside on Hayward. Caught looking in the first, lined out to second in the second.
And Clemens hasn't tried many changeups here today, and the ones he has have kind of floated up and out of the zone on him.
Doubled up with the change.
Yeah, better there.
To the fastball in the dirt, 3-1.
Hayward again in a hitter's count, hit a rocket to second base for an out last time. Be a good idea to hit one in the seats where nobody's playing it.
So one way to assure he's not going to make it out as he draws the walk. And we'll bring up Bryant.
Clemens really laboring. That's his 5th walk to go along with a hit batsman, or hit batter, excuse me.
Alexis run predictor. Chance of the Cubs getting at least 1 run here in this inning. Brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. Cubs better than league average, scoring about a third of the time. Put a runner on with 1 out.
And given where they are in the batting order and who the hitters are, I would say the chances are a little bit better than those numbers indicate.
Bryant in the air to deep right. Stanton goes back to the wall. He's got it right in front of the barrier. Bryant just missed one. 2 outs.
Well, 2 great swings for Chris today and 3 trips. A double to right center, and this time he drives the ball the other way. Just didn't quite get enough of it. Pretty big yard here. Good pitcher's ballpark. And many ballparks where this is a home run, including the next stop along the way, Cincinnati.
This game will make you talk to yourself. Ball 1 to Rizzo. Yankees edged the Twins in the Bronx 2-1 today. They've got a pretty good back end of their bullpen, don't they?
Yeah, they they rolled them all out again today.
Starlin Castro. The big RBI in the 8th.
Betances in the 7th, Miller in the 8th, Chapman in the 9th. Close it out. Andrew Miller, I looked the other day, had struck out 50% of the batters he'd faced this year.
Yankees are 1 over 500. On a rough go for the Twins. They're 23-51. Just foul.
I think all the contending teams around baseball hoping the Yankees go in the tank. They'd be more inclined to move some of those relievers.
So the 3 guys they're called No Runs DMC. That's the name for the group. Base hit to right through the shift. Hayward to third. Rizzo trying to make second, and he'll get in. Nice base running by Anthony Rizzo. He's going to get a double out of it,
yeah,
right?
Just a great read by Rizzo, yeah.
Instead of throwing to second, not sure where he was going there.
He's trying to hurry the ball back into the infield in case Hayward had a notion of trying to score. That wasn't going to happen. But he has to spin all the way around, throws this ball essentially just general direction of home plate. Rizzo with a good read gets himself into scoring position.
Second and third, 2 outs. Contreras takes a curve for a strike. He has walked twice and scored once. They have given Rizzo a double, his 16th.
Real Muto came to the big leagues probably a little ahead of schedule. They had Saltalamacchia here last year. He really struggled, got released. Real Muto was primarily a shortstop in high school. Made a late conversion to catcher. He's got very good hands back there. Still learning the trade in terms of the footwork and blocking balls, things of that nature. He also throws quite well.
To the shortstop Echeverria. Cubs strand 2 in scoring position in the 4th. They lead this ball game 4-1.
ride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
Young Cub fan. The team is leading 4-1.
Focused.
Yelich. Strike one from Lackey.
Trying to think of a pitcher who works more quickly than John Lackey in the game right now.
Not many.
Here comes to mind. Mark Burley was pretty amazing in that regard, but he's not pitching.
Doubleheader today in Baltimore. Orioles 5, Rays nothing. Final. Tampa Bay's got 9 straight. It's a first place, last place matchup. 1 out. Speed replay brought to you by Xfinity.
This is Lackey versus Stanton last go around. John very aggressive with the fastball, challenging the big guy. And ultimately beating the big guy. Elevated heater in towards the hands.
Speed replay brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Stanton fouls. Kevin Gausman got the win, his first this year for the Orioles. Got another one tonight. How about the Giants? See how hot they are?
31-9 over their last 40.
Yeah, that ties their best 40-game stretch in club history. They've got a 7-game lead over the Dodgers going into play today. 3-1.
And the Dodgers are playing good ball. They've won 8 out of 10.
Only 2 teams in the West that are above 500. Stanton walks. First base runner for Miami since the first inning. The highest scoring club in the National League in June.
Diamondbacks?
Nope.
Reds?
Nope.
Dodgers?
Nope. Only 15 teams.
What am I down to? Do I have any more guesses?
You have as many as you want.
How many have I used? 4? If I use 4, can I phone a friend? Let me call my friend Len.
I'll give you 10 guesses. And you might get it.
The Cubs?
Nope.
I knew it wasn't the Cubs. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do me like that. What was the question again? Highest scoring National League team.
Runs per game in June.
Padres.
You got it. 5.9 runs per game.
Wow.
You would not have. Well, you didn't. You would not have guessed the Padres.
Well, the only reason I just now guessed them is because I think they got 13 last night.
Well, I think 2 or 3 times they've scored that many this month. Swing and a miss by Bohr. And it's 1-2. You got the Stephen Wright answer, so you're 1 for 2. You're batting .500 today.
I'll take that to arbitration.
Cubs with 4 hits and 4 runs. The Marlins 1 hit and 1 run. That will get out in a major hurry. Upper deck, 1-run game. Well, Bohr has 2 homers in this series and has knocked in 6 with those 2 swings.
Big fella generates some serious bat speed. Stands up there, no batting gloves. Very old school approach. The former Cub farmhand coming back to bite his former organization. A little grip and rip.
That was a shot. 426 feet. Exit velocity 112 miles an hour according to StatCast. That'll get into left for Dietrich.
So Bohr was a 25th round pick of the Cubs in 2009, and then the Marlins got him in the Rule 5 draft, the AAA phase of the Rule 5 draft in 2013.
Yeah, so he was drafted the year Wilson Contreras signed with the Cubs. Just to give you an idea of how long it took Contreras to get to the big leagues. In some ways he came out of nowhere because he wasn't really talked about much prior to last year. He's a legitimate big league prospect, and then kind of turned around in 2015 for him. Real Muto swings and misses. That's where that scout's eye, just kind of the ability to evaluate your own talent, is an art, not a science. And I think there were a lot of people who never thought Contreras would get here. I'm not sure he knew he'd get here. Ground ball, base hit. That's 3 consecutive hits now for the Marlins.
John's run of consecutive quality starts in jeopardy here. 10 consecutive times he's gone out there and given the Cubs at least 6 innings, no more than 3 runs allowed, 3 earned runs. And most of the time it's far better than that. His ERA in that stretch, $1.97.
Two on for Echeverria. 1-run ball game all of a sudden after the Bohr homer. Gillespie is on deck, and action in the Marlins bullpen. Gillespie would hit for the pitcher. Nick Whitgren. Cornelius assisting. Bullpen coach. Final in Chicago, Blue Jays beat the White Sox 10-8. The Sox hit 7 solo homers and lost.
Wow.
1-2.
Is that some kind of a record?
No.
No.
Stats says the White Sox are the first team with 7 homers in a loss since '04.
That's hard to do. Hit 7 home runs and lose. White Sox fall a game below 500 now, 37-38.
Brett Laurie hit 2. Full count, and Lackey wants Montero. A couple of words. We'll figure out how to get a double play ball here. Yeah, you out homers somebody 7-1. You expect to win.
Yeah, I would think in the long history of our grand game, when that happens, the team with the 7 home runs wins about 99.9% of the time.
Three-two. We will try it once more.
Looking that slide ball down and away on Echeverria here. Cluster right down there off the outside edge down below the knees. Montero sits out there yet again.
There's a double play ball. 6-4-3 to end the inning. 4 with a line shot homer makes it a 1-run game after 4. With a big go-ahead 3-run homer, and also starting a Cubs double play, and it's brought to you by State Farm. Combine your car and home insurance with State Farm and save. Find an agent at statefarm.com.
So quickly Russell got that ball to Baez, allows him to make that turn without a lot of pressure from the base runner.
Clemens to Baez. Ball 1. The 5th inning brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank. He's got hit on the backside. Last at bat, and he didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, he said something to Paul Clemens. I know what you're up to. I don't think it was intentional, and maybe by this point Javi doesn't either. But you know, in the heat of the battle, you get drilled by a fastball. Yeah, it hurts. And a little pain, a little. Get your attention.
Two count. Just foul.
People are being instructed to clap their hands. Not many are really following it. Yeah. We clap our hands when we want to clap our hands. Close off, Mr. Scoreboard Boy.
Marlins would not be out here had Echeverria not hit into an inning-ending double play. So this will be his final inning no matter what. Towards center, cut off by the shortstop. Echeverria, strong throw. And he gets his man one away.
Boy, he's smooth. He can really play the position. That was not an easy play. Took a little bit of an in-between hop on him. Slides on over there, and you got Baez going down the line too with his speed.
One to Russell. Mentioned he's done fine work against righties. Came in at 290. Hit his 5th homer off a righty in the 3rd inning. Hitting 123 against lefties. On the other hand, he came in at 207 on the road, 283 at home. The lefty righty thing much more telling. Breaking ball is foul.
Yeah, I think for a young player, a lot of times it's just the familiarity of their home ballpark matters. But the longer they're in the league, that tends to even out. Unless you're in a real hitter-friendly ballpark, the environment has not been particularly hitter-friendly at Wrigley this year. Much of the year it's been very cold.
Held.
And I think, and I was asking Joe Madden about this earlier today. So what do you think the deal is with Addison? And he said I think he gets out around the ball against lefties, and a lot of times guys when you just see the ball a little bit better as a right-handed hitter from a lefty, and there's a tendency to pull off. I think he does a real good job of staying in against right-handed pitching. He uses the whole field.
Clemens, that's just his 3rd strikeout. Here's Montero, who has homered and walked in his return to the lineup. Elias says third time ever a team has hit 7 homers and lost. White Sox today. So yeah, incredibly rare. The 2 teams to do it. The 95 Tigers and the 04 Tigers.
Well, it would make sense. The mid-90s Tigers, they had a lot of thump, but they didn't pitch particularly well. So you could see them hitting a bunch of home runs and still losing.
Montero strikes out, probably it for Clemens. Cubs lead 4-3.
'20th, sit ringside with Cubs manager Joe Madden and Cub players for the 2nd annual Respect 90 main event at the Wintrust Bank building in Chicago. This will feature several local youth boxers of various skill levels, as well as a special main event bout. A portion of the proceeds will benefit youth boxing programs in Chicago's underserved communities. To buy tickets or a table, visit Cubs.com/Madden. That's Michael Buffer there.
He's got his handy green pen. As former Cub Cole Gillespie, pinch hitting for Clemens, takes strike 1 on the outside corner. Once foul back of the plate, Ichiro and Prado next.
Marlins in contention for a wild card spot this year. 71 and 91 last year. They haven't had a winning season since '09. They've never lost a postseason series. Been to the postseason twice, won the World Series both times.
4 games back in the East in third. They're tied for third with St. Louis in the wild card. Top 2 make it. They're only 1 behind the Mets. The final wild card spot. With over half the season to go. All-time series is tied at 90.
Yeah, and I won't pretend to have any real working knowledge of the Marlins farm system. I just know what I've read, and I've read that they don't have a lot of depth down there. So if they're contemplating a trade, they don't have a whole lot of prospects to deal.
Charged by Bryant. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Great to have you with us. Cubs and Marlins, game 3 of 4. Len and JD and our WGN sports crew. Traveling road show has hit South Florida. Curve is outside on Ichiro. Walk, steal, run in the first, ground out in the third. He's 17 hits shy of 3,000 in the majors. Russell's got to hurry. Throw gets by Rizzo and rolls into the dugout. I hope Anthony's all right. You know, with that back, those are the kinds of plays you worry about. So there will be an error on Russell. I'm thinking hit and error. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be my call. And there he goes again with that slap and go. So Russell knows he has to hurry. The ball sails a little bit on him. Anthony not able to glove it.
So career hit 2984.
Man, if there's going to be an error, it says it might be on Anthony.
So that 17 will become a 16. Either he'll have to get a new T-shirt. That's an erasable ink on his shirt. Looks like he's already doing the work.
So it is a base hit and an error charge to Addison Russell. Second one in the series.
And they're going to tie it as Ichiro rounds third and will score. Prado on his way to second. He's got a double. 4-4.
A lot of tough outs in this Marlin lineup. Second hit today for Martin Prado. With a hanging breaking ball.
Yelich, as the Marlins now 2 shots to grab the lead. They led 1-0 in the first. Cubs then scored 4 over the following 2 innings. The last 3 coming from the home team to tie it. 1-1 to Yelich. Some guys stretching in the Cubs pen, but nobody getting loose. The Marlins will go into their bullpen in the 6th. He's set at the belt. The 3-1, a swing and a miss. Fastball count. Yelich didn't get one.
Now that aggressive approach by Lackey, you know, as the game gets a little deeper, the situations become higher leverage. It's going to change that approach a little bit, not be quite as aggressive with the fastball.
Ball 4.
Spazio making his way out of the dugout for a visit. Travis Wood likely not available this afternoon. different look in that bullpen right now with a struggling Grimm and Adam Warren down at AAA. There's a lot of inexperience out there right now, and guys I'm not sure Joe feels real comfortable with going to in high leverage situations.
Yeah, I mean, from the right side, Cahill and Strope, kind of the two guys ahead of Rondon. And then, as you mentioned, Wood probably not available, so it's a rookie Concepcion up. Soft liner, base hit. Prado around third. Almora up with it. Throw to the plate. Not in time, and the Marlins lead 5-4. Stanton, you don't think soft contact, but he served it out into center softly in front of Almora, and he gives his team the lead.
Yeah, just a little floater. Almora got on it in a hurry. Really nice play. Got off a good strong throw, but Prado able to beat that throw.
That will be it for Lackey. So his quality start streak will end at 10.
A lot of traffic in these last 2 innings against John. First 3 innings, he allowed that first inning run, but other than that, appeared to be on his A game.
We'll be back to Miami in a moment. Not had many like this. 15 starts. This one his shortest of the year, 4 1/3. Previous low is 5 2/3. So he has been incredibly reliable, especially in terms of innings.
Yeah, usually very efficient and able to pitch deep into games, but the patient Marlin approach ultimately bore fruit for them here this afternoon. A lot of traffic, walks, and hits in the last couple of innings. Concepcion out of the bullpen to make his second major league appearance, called up on the 21st and then pitched that night against the Cardinals. We saw his minor league numbers. That was combined at AA and AAA.
Only the 3rd time in 15 starts Lackey has allowed more than 3 runs. Bohr with a long home run into the second deck in right in the 4th. Got the call, 1-1. Paul Clemens now could get a win. He'll get out of play to left. Concepcion is from Cuba. He makes his off-season home here in Miami. To left and fair. Yelich scores. Stanton will stop at third. It's an opposite field double for Bohr. He's got 3 more RBIs in this one. 7 the last 2 days, and it's 6-4.
Yeah, Bohr usually takes a seat against left-handed pitching, but maybe going to press his case to make more starts against southpaws. Kind of goes into Tony Gwynn mode here, or Ichiro mode, as opposed to being the big slugger, just playing a little contact and punching that ball to left field. He was just 4 out of 20 against southpaws prior to that plate appearance.
Here's Dietrich. He's going to play the infield back here with 1 out, except for Bryant at third. Fly to left. Contreras can't really get behind the ball, so Stanton will easily score. It's 7-4 on a sac fly. Four in here in the 5th.
And there's the value of contact right there. We talk a lot about strikeouts, and Joe uses the term moving the baseball. Bohr with a little punch base hit to left. Dietrich, a left-handed hitter, willing to shoot one the other way. Gets the sac fly.
Bohr is at second, 2 outs, and a strike. And Real Muto. Balls, 2 strikes. Away with an elevated curve.
Be a bad time to try to bounce one, throw one short. Muto hitting for a high average, but he doesn't walk much. The man in scoring position is probably in swing mode.
Nope. Did that.
He sniffed it out, didn't he?
popped up on the infield. Rizzo with an easy play, and the inning finally over. The Marlins take the lead. It's 7-4 after 5. Brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Cubs are down 3 after they were ahead by 3. 4-1 advantage now, 7-4 deficit, and here's right-hander Nick Whitgren. Long way to go. We're only in the 6th.
Yeah, well, plenty of baseball left. Whitgren on for the 2nd time in the series. For the year, 14 appearances, 2-1 with an ERA of 3. He has struck out 20, walked only 4. Got a low whip, low batting average against.
RBI double Prado to tie it. Stanton gave them the lead. Bourne, Dietrich add-on RBIs. Chris Coghlan pinch hitting for Concepcion. 7 runs charged to Lackey, all earned. So his ERA up to 3.29 from 2.78 when we started. Again, Clemens, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. We could get a victory.
Whitgren with a little bit of a crossfire delivery. There's a fastball curve and a changeup, and will cut his fastball a little bit from time to time.
That was a changeup, that last pitch. Called strike 3 on the heater. Coghlan didn't think so.
Well, that's the kind of pitch as a hitter you don't want it to be a strike because it's a really tough pitch, but it was a quality pitch from Whitgren. Doesn't have the high octane fastball that a couple of the other guys we've seen out of their bullpen. Well placed.
Mora rolls it foul. Laced into center. 1 out 2-out single. Moras love it. Well represented here this weekend. Went to high school nearby Hialeah. Pitch to Hayward. Ball one.
Mike Dunn, the lefty, is up in the Marlin bullpen. Perhaps for Rizzo.
A rough night last night. You know, 5 career homers for Hayward in this ballpark. And 115 at bats.
Three and one, obviously looking for something you can drive. Jason hits the ball on the ground a lot. It's obviously something he's trying to avoid in this situation unless he can pull it through the hole on the right side.
Nope. 4-6-3. Inning over. So Whitgren with a scoreless 6-7 for Miami. Summer events back to back. The Home Run Derby July 11th at 7 Central, and the very next night don't miss baseball's biggest stars at the 87th All-Star Game presented by MasterCard July 12th. Coverage begins at 6:30 Central. Jason Hayward in the leadoff spot for the second consecutive day, and he moves from right to center. Coughlin playing right. So So Almora is out, and here's Spencer Patton to pitch.
Couple appearances for the big club. He's having a very nice year down at AAA. Spencer, 28 years of age. Big league time with the Rangers.
Russell's got it on the one hopper, and he makes the play.
2014, he pitched 9 times for Texas. Last year, 27 times. Had 8 saves at AAA Iowa in a 104 ERA. He's posting big strikeout numbers, 42 strikeouts in 26 innings.
Johnson for Whitgren.
Fastballs, sliders, and changeups from Patton. His breaking ball that got loose on him there, that previous one.
Swing and a miss on the slider. 2-1. Backhanded this time by Russell. You mentioned inexperience, and probably looking at that to try to keep the Cubs within striking distance. Carl Edwards Jr. might see work today. It also might be a day you get Justin Grimm in there. He's struggled as of late. Strike on Ichiro. The Bear Claw is up. Kyle Bear Claw.
Yeah, it looks like Baraclough, but it's Bear Claw,
which is awesome. Baez makes the play, and the inning is over. We now go to the 7th. 7-4 Miami. take a look at today's Bud Bandcamp. It's Enrique Iglesias with I Like It. Don't forget the next Bud Friday in the bleachers, July 15th, with a distressed Cubs cap giveaway. Go to Cubs.com for more information. There's Kyle Bearclaw.
Yeah, the Bearclaw is an intriguing guy. He's a hard thrower, the wipeout slider. Not sure exactly where that fastball is going, so it's not a comfortable AB. Mentioned strikeout rate the other night is 40%, 40.2% of batters he faces he strikes out, third best among major league relievers, following Andrew Miller and Dylan Betances of the Yankees.
We have not seen their closer yet in the series, AJ Ramos, who's been perfect, 23 chances in terms of save opportunities this year. He was not available Thursday night, but we get to the ninth, a similar score, he will be in there today. I'd like to be able to get to this bullpen before they get to their closer if possible.
And now the downside for Bearclaw is that he walks a lot of guys, so put an inning together against him.
Got away from him. 2-1 on Bryant. Rizzo and Contreras also in this inning. Like to get some damage done here. To get it all back. At least something. Swing and a miss on a good heater at 97. Got him. Back-to-back fastballs. Forget Bryant. Bearclaw's pro debut came with a team called the Muck Dogs.
Where were they?
Batavia, the New York Penn League. Yeah. If we could find a guy with the last name Muck Dog who pitched for the Bearclaws, we'd have something.
I first heard his name, I thought he was Native American. It was like Bearclaw, you know, like a tribal name or something. They got him from the Cardinals for Steve Cishek last year.
One and two to Rizzo. To left. Let's see if he can get two out of it. Rizzo hustling towards second, and he'll stand there with a double, his second of the day.
Such a good hitter. My goodness. You really feel it when he's not in the lineup.
Bearclaw pitched 4 years at St. Mary's University. As Tom Candiotti on their strikeout list. Making second all time.
Good swing.
Yep.
Great swing. Contreras showing the ability to drive the ball the other way. That would be a good approach to take against Bearclaw with that fastball slider combo. Stay on it. Drive it to right center.
Alexis run predictor. Runner at second with one out. It's a little below league average. Marlins have been stingy in terms of their pitching in this spot. Swinging bunt. Bearclaw will claw it and make the play. Well, there have been 3 balls in that area off the Cubs bats. 2 plays made by Prado, that one by Bearclaw. And any sort of bobble or slip, and they would not have gotten an out, but all 3 times they've made the play.
Yeah, and I was betting on the ball here. I didn't think Bearclaw was going to be able to make this play, but he gobbles it up. A bit of a sinker over there to first base, but he got his man.
There we are. Lexus Run Predictor is brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer.
Had a pitch to hit, just a little behind it. Javi 0 for 2 today, hit by a pitch and scored a run in the 3-run 3rd inning.
By the way, I said St. Mary's University. I believe it's St. Mary's College. The Gales. Fouled away by Baez.
When it comes to Gales, I'm more of an Iona guy. If I'm going to pull for any Gales.
Right. Swing and a miss. And the 7th is over for the Cubs. They'll stretch here in Miami, 7-4 Marlins. summary, Cubs at one point led this game 4-1. The Marlins put up 2 in the 4th and then 4 in the 5th inning. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. Spencer Patton went 1-2-3 in the 6th, all ground ball outs. Faces Martin Prado, who had a quiet start to this series. 0 for 7 in the first 2 games, but he's 2 for 3 with an RBI double and a run, and some nice defensive work to boot. Nothing and 2. David Phelps got the save, filling in for A.J. Ramos on Thursday. Diving stop, Rizzo, and the throw eludes Patton. And Prado is aboard. Guessing infield hit.
And one of those tough plays when you play that far off the bag. Had Anthony just gone to the base, Baez would have been able to handle that play. It would have been an easier play to convert, but it's tough for first baseman to give up on that ball.
They did give him an error. He did have to dive to make the original play, but had time to get the out and could not. One and 1 to Yelich. With the injuries the Cubs have gone through here lately, you mentioned a different look in the bullpen. Margin for error is a lot less. Runner goes. Bounced into left by Yelich. Prado actually slid into second, and then he found the ball, but at that point it was too late, so he stays at second.
The Marlins have been doing some running in this series. This time they play a little hit and run with Yelich, who's a good contact man. Prado a modest lead, but a running start.
Stanton takes a strike. Line shot left center, and that's going to roll all the way to the out-of-town board. Prado scores. Yelich is in. 2-run double. Giancarlo Stanton, he's knocked in 3 today. 9-4.
The Marlins in this series are seemingly taking advantage of every opportunity, whether it's walks, misplays in the field. Anytime the door is open, they've been able to exploit it. This is a fairly common sight at Stanton. That ball just explodes off his bat. Force outfielders to take a little different route than they normally would. Carry on the line drive is like he's hitting a 1-iron.
Very few guys can hit the ball like that. I always go back to Ryan Klesko. He used to hit line shots and hit the warning track, and he'd never get it more than about 20 feet off the ground.
Dave Winfield comes to mind.
Yes. Yeah. There's Justin Grimm. Cubs definitely need to get him straightened out. .30 on board. Baez in the grass. That's the first out. Stanton moves to third.
Cub fans, join the Cubs season ticket holder waiting list. Do it today. Claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy, and it's free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
Derek Dietrich is the next hitter, and it looks like it'll be Justin Grimm as Joe makes the slow walk to the mound. Here comes Grimm. It's Miami 9 and the Cubs 4 in the 7th. Is on. His team's down 5. Chance here to give him some work.
Yeah, Joe was looking for some lower leverage situations to try to get Justin back on track in a rough go. And you've seen that ERA climb to 6.04. Last time out against the Cardinals on the 22nd, he allowed 3 hits, 4 runs in a third of an inning. Third time he had allowed multiple runs in his last 10 appearances.
Infield in. Dietrich swings at a curve in front of the plate.
Just a very valuable part of the Cubs bullpen. And last year, I think a really underrated part of the Cubs bullpen. He ended up with a 1.99 ERA last season. Struck out 67 in 49 2/3 innings of work.
Get his confidence back. Oh, 0-2. Called strike 3. Fastball freezes Dietrich.
A good start. Yeah, for me, it's been mostly location, tendency to fly open a little bit, and when a relief pitcher gets used a lot, you go through periods. We got a little bit of a dead arm, and the ball's just not coming out of your hand as cleanly. So you muscle up, try to overthrow to get that extra zip, and then the mechanics start to get a little loose on you.
Strike to Real Muto.
Really made a big stride in 2014. And it was fastball command. The ability to drive that heater down and away against right-handed hitters was kind of the key. Work off that with that sharp curveball.
Coghlan in right to end the inning. To the 8th. It's now a 5-run deficit for the Cubs. 9-4 Marlins.
Marlins lead, top of the 8th. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Miguel Rojas in to play first. Bohr is out. Double switch. And 34-year-old right-hander Dustin McGowan. Ball one to Addison Russell. McGowan made his major league debut 11 years ago with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, another guy that can rush it up there. Clocked at 96 miles per hour. And they also have Carter Capps, who's hurt.
Right.
But
Tommy John.
Yeah, but when healthy, he was 98. I think he got to 100.
Yep. All kinds of injury problems for McGowan in his career. Right shoulder in particular. Here's the pitch. 2-2. .6'3", 235.
Couple of years, 2007 and 8, excuse me, where he was exclusively a starter with Toronto.
Leadoff walk. Montero homered in the second. And he drills one out toward the alley. Yelich will cut it off. Russell races to third. And the Cubs have runners at the corners with nobody out. They're down 5, but they're trying to fight their way back into this one.
It's a good pitcher's park, but it's been a hitter's day here today. Nice to see Montero swinging it well. Home run single. He also walked.
So Chris Coghlan, who came into the game in the 6th as a pinch hitter, now playing right, will bat, and Ben Zobrist has a bat in the on deck circle in the pitcher's spot. Bounce to first, to second for one, relay in time. That hurts. 3-6-3 double play. So the Cubs get a run, but the bases are now empty with 2 gone. No RBI for Coghlan.
Yeah, pretty slick play there by Rojas. I'm not sure Justin Bour makes that play.
And by the way, a lot of credit to Christian Yelich, because the ball Montero hit, that's a double in most situations, but Yelich got over there to keep Montero to a single and keep the double play in order.
Yelich a Gold Glover.
Yeah, the more we see of him, the more impressive he is. He really has come into his own here in Miami. Zobrist with a sore ankle, not in the lineup today, but pinch hitting here late. 2-0. Well, 3-0. Ball 4.
Leadoff walk and then a 2-out walk after the double play. So finable offenses in pitcher's kangaroo court.
Zobrist takes off, not being held. On the Avis to the mound. guys not throwing strikes will not get that call.
No, I'm surprised he got it.
Ground ball knocked down by the pitcher. An underhand to first, and the Cubs can only get one here in the 8th after such a promising start. 9-5 Marlins. Eight stat of the game. Only the 6th time this year. Cubs have allowed more than 6 runs. And actually 2 and 3 in the first 5. So they were able to outslug the opponent a couple of those times. Grade 8 stat of the game is brought to you by Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy, guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Here's Carl Edwards Jr.
Carl, 1-1, 426. 24 games down in Iowa. Tough to hit. Just a 185 batting average against walk. Total a little higher than you would like. He gets a lot of swings and misses.
Zobrist at second. Baez to third. Let's see. Bryant in center. Start to connect the dots. Musical chairs, and Hayward is out of the game. That one lined foul. Echeverria.
Carl, long and lean, fluid delivery. Throw that 4-seam fastball up in the zone, overhand curveball, and a straight change.
One and two.
Suspect you're going to see mostly fastballs and curveballs.
Nice note from Laura McPherson. She and her husband are Chicago transplants. They live here in Miami. And they are at the ballpark today, rooting on the Cubs. Russell's had a busy day.
Cards with an error earlier, a tough error. Ichiro slapped the ball. It was kind of a play where he had to hurry and unload it, and the ball sunk a little bit on him. It's a play Anthony would usually make on the other end. And as the ball trickled into the dugout, Ichiro able to get an extra 90 feet, so it went as a hit and an error. So back-to-back days with an error for Russell. He has played a very good shortstop.
Rojas started at 3-6-3 double play at the top of this inning. The Cubs were trying to rally, put up a crooked number and get back into this game. His first plate appearance. Fouled out of play. Crowd today the largest of the weekend to this point, 29,457. Foul tip and strike three.
Edwards came to the Cubs in July of 2013 in the Matt Garza deal. Originally a 48th round pick to the Rangers in 2011.
Said many times you watch Ichiro do his thing and it's just you wouldn't teach it that way, but has it ever worked for him? Always looks like he's just falling off balance.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of drift, but he keeps his hands back.
Left center on the move is Bryant. He's got it. And the inning is over. We go to the ninth. It's a 4-run ball game, 9-5. Quick look at the Ford upcoming schedule. It's brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or localfordstores.com. It's an 11-game trip. Miami, Cincinnati, New York. 4 here, 3 in Ohio, 4 in New York.
Tomorrow it's Jason Hamill against Jose Fernandez. Jason 7-3 with a 255. Fernandez 9-3 with a 2.36 earned run average.
Fernandez, I talked about how great he has been here. To illustrate that, he's made 34 career starts here at Marlins Park. He is 23-1 with a 1.48.
So you're saying Jason better be on his game tomorrow.
A whip of under .9.
He's allowed 1 run in his last 5 home starts. You could argue he's due to give it up.
You could, yeah.
He will choose to.
That's the hope.
And by give it up, I mean like give up 3 maybe.
Sometimes you hear people go, well, why don't you just let that graze you, lean into it, take first base. No. It's coming at you at 96. Get out of the way. And off the plate as well. And McGowan living on the edge.
Yeah, it's pretty sloppy work by him. He's got this comfortable lead, but having a hard time finding the zone.
Nieves is out for the second time with McGowan on the mound. He was out there in the 8th, and he'll probably say, stop walking people.
If he did, he'd have to revoke his union card as a former pitcher. Last thing a pitcher needs to hear from a fellow pitcher. Stop walking people. Oh, really? There's a novel idea. Would you like me to bear down as well?
There's the closer, Ramos. Probably 1 base runner away from seeing him in the game. Strike on Rizzo. Jason Hamill says, I don't think I want to sit in the front. Not anymore. Two bounced into the dugout,
folks.
And I don't know if Hamill can get out of harm's way. It actually hit Ross in the back on the carom.
They cover, boys. Art Fowler was Billy Martin's pitching coach for years, and he used to go to the mound and he would tell the pitcher, hey, look, Billy's getting mad at me. You better throw strikes.
Ground ball. Slowed down by Rojas. Pitcher covering. It'll go 3 to 4 to 1. Dietrich picked it up after Rojas was able to keep it out of the outfield.
Rojas able to at least get leather on it, slow it down, and allow Dietrich to come in behind and make the play. And I don't know that Justin Bour gets that one either. So Rojas coming in to play first base has paid off for Don Mattingly here on a couple of occasions.
Left center for Contreras. He finds the alley. Bryant will score. Contreras to second with a double. Tying run is on deck in a 9-6 ball game, and Don Mattingly may be thinking about his closer here.
Boy, Contreras continues his good work. 2 walks, RBI double for him this afternoon / evening. Yeah, that's going to do it.
Joe Madden finding that Contreras is making it impossible for him to take him out of the lineup. Not even catching today. He's playing the outfield. So they have created a safe situation for their closer. AJ Ramos will be in 9-6, and we will be right back. Here from AJ Ramos, perfect and safe chances, hasn't given up many hits, hasn't given up any home runs in over 30 innings.
Yeah, keeps the ball in the ballpark. Obviously, he has walked 18 to go along with 37 strikeouts. Talk about all the high octane arms out there in that bullpen. Ramos is not one of them. He's not an extreme hard thrower. Late inning reliever, he uses a variety of pitches: fastball, slider, changeup, and once in a while a curveball.
Native of Lubbock, Texas, went to Texas Tech. A high draft pick, 21st round, 2009. Facing Javier Baez. Contreras at second. Tying run is on deck. So this is a save opportunity. And he pops it up. Shallow center. It's the shortstop, Echeverria. And the Cubs are down to their final chance now.
And Baez knows he had a pitch there. A little bit of a lazy slider across the top of the strike zone.
Russell's got to find a way to get on. Swing and a miss. Montero is that tying run on deck. Brewers beat the Nationals 6-5. Washington has dropped 7 straight, so the Marlins can get within 3 of the division lead. And he will reach. That ball clipped him, and it will bring up the tying run.
Well, the way Montero's been swinging it today. Pretty good about his chances of getting something done here.
So the Cubs have some life. Strike one.
Didn't have to be.
Five Cubs have been hit by pitches the last 2 days. Trying to make them pay for it here.
Oof, that was nasty.
Swing and a miss, and that'll do it. So the Marlins have taken 2 of the first 3. Cubs will try to earn a split tomorrow. They have now dropped 5 of their last 6. Paul Clemens got the win.
Yeah, weird game. It was a bizarre game last night and a strange one here today as well. The way this game started, even though the Marlins pushed a run across in the bottom of the first, Lackey was throwing the ball really well. And Clemens was really laboring, and Clemens ended up walking 5 in his 5 innings. It was that mid-game ambush by the Marlins that turned things around. But John Lackey appeared to be in control of his stuff and in control of this game. But give the Marlins credit. A lot of really good work by their hitters in the middle innings of this ball game.
So Clemens over Lackey, Ramos the save. The final score, Miami 9 and the Cubs 6. We'll be back.